Welcome to the Justin Seepin Show. We have a special live stream today to demonstrate how to set up an Elixir Phoenix app and get it deployed onto the DigitalOcean app platform. I'm joined today by Andrew Elster from the Palmetto Privacy project. Andrew, down in South Carolina, one of our sponsors of the show. Y'all have been a huge supporter of what we're doing here. And I'm really excited because this is going to be the first in a series of sort of tutorial videos where we're going to be covering all kinds of technical topics, from Elixir Phoenix deployments to eventually we're going to get into some security and hacking, Lord willing. And it's going to be a really interesting series of videos, hopefully ongoing ad infinitum. If you enjoy this, like, comment, subscribe. Let us know. You can email me at justice@palmettoprivacy.com or andrew@palmettoprivacy.com. Andrew, you're working on some of the most interesting privacy technology that I've heard of anywhere, and I'm really excited to be working with you on the project. Today, we're going to be deploying an Elixir Phoenix application to the DigitalOcean app platform. Now, there was some context behind why you did it in a particular way, as opposed to just like a gig Elixir deployment or something like that. So can you kind of just give us a little bit of context on why you might go with the DigitalOcean app platform and sort of with the Docker configuration that we're going to be using today?
Sure. I don't have anything against gig Elixir. I think what they're doing is awesome. However, they run on either AWS or Google's cloud. DigitalOcean is a completely separate provider, and that's one that we tend to like working with. So if you prefer any particular cloud provider, this technique will work across the board as long as they have some kind of similar setup. With DigitalOcean, the app platform recognizes some frameworks and systems. It does not recognize Elixir Phoenix. It's just not big enough tech for them to care about at the moment. But that's fine. App platform has no problem building a Docker image and using Docker for deployment. So with gig Elixir, you can go directly to them with your project. You don't necessarily have to use Docker. If you want to get your Phoenix app onto DigitalOcean, you're going to have to go the Docker route. On the app platform specifically, you're going to have to go the Docker route.
Okay, so we're going to be doing a little bit of Docker work today.
Yes. And having done it a few times, there are some little pitfalls and little things which we're hoping to avoid. So if anybody's watching this and they come follow in our footsteps, hopefully they're not tearing their hair out.
Yeah, so you can't see this right now, but if you were watching the stream, you would see that Docker is asking me to update. Well, so apparently Docker 3.4 has been downloaded and is ready to use. Would you like to install it and relaunch Docker now? No. Automatically download and install updates in the future. I should uncheck that, but I'm not going to. Okay, so we're going to use the old Docker, and hopefully that's okay because I don't want to restart the computer right now. Alrighty then. Okay, so Andrew, we're good to go.
Okay.
So I'm going to pull up my terminal, and you're gonna kind of talk me through it. You're gonna navigate, and I'm gonna drive. Is that right?
That's right. That's right.
Cool. All right. So.
Yep.
So I've got a terminal.
I'll just give you an overall picture of where we're going. We're going to create a new Phoenix project. We'll do a little configuration there. We'll set it up for building a release. We're going to add the Dockerfile, get it ready for a Docker build. Then we're going to move into DigitalOcean specific stuff, set up a app platform project, talk a little bit about the app spec, how to configure it, then run a deployment. And then as a bonus at the end, we can also talk about like the health plug and things like that.
Yeah. So from the get-go, we're going to want to spin up the app first.
That's right.
All right. And we'll call this DigitalOcean. Oops, I can't use hyphens. DigitalOcean app deployment example. That's a DigitalOcean app example. And do we need special config on the new, or we're just good to go from the default?
We can just use the default.
Great.
Yeah, we've used the same Docker technique to deploy, a full Phoenix app that's rendering HTML to Phoenix apps that are strictly just functioning as a JSON API. So I'll talk a little bit about those differences when we get there, but it should be fine. It's Phoenix new.
This is a brand new Phoenix app, and if we do mix.phx.server, we should see, do I have Postgres running? Nope, I'm going to need that to be running. Okay. And now, localhost 4000. Indeed, welcome to Phoenix. We've got an app up and running. Okay, now, what are we doing here, Andrew? You helped me along the way.
Okay, so the next step is setting this up for Docker to build so that the app platform can do something with it. So what we're going to do is configure a runtime configuration file so that the Docker image or the running container can override any environment set during build time. There's a few variables that's important for it to get dynamically from app platform, the host, the port, the database URL. We'll also set the secret in there, secret key base. So we'll set up a runtime configuration. We'll set up a Dockerfile for the build, and then we should be ready to tell DigitalOcean about it, and DigitalOcean can run the build, run the deployment.
Okay.
And we'll be off to the races.
Okay.
So let's start with the runtime.
Well, the first thing we're going to need .env Elixir, right?
Yeah, I do this as a convenience. It's a nice utility where you can drop a file in your project called .env. In there you can put your environment variables, and you can use this Elixir app so that when the app boots up, it will load the variables defined in that file into your project as if you had already configured your system environment to have those variables.
Okay, and in this case, what we have here is what we're going to use, correct?
That's right. Yeah, we only need a dev test, and this is to make the dev function equivalently to how this operates in production. Locally, we're not going to bother with using Docker. Some people are like totally into Docker the whole way. We just don't need to get into that. We're only using Docker. In this example, we're only using Docker as a deployment vehicle.
We're only using Docker as a deployment vehicle. Okay, so I'll admit that my ignorance I think I've mentioned this before, is that I've used Docker many times under duress. And so I've had to learn it a number of times, and every single time I think I just repress the memory, so I don't remember anything about it, what the purpose of it is. It seems to make everything harder and more complicated. But since smarter people than me like it, I assume that it is actually good.
Well, what we're doing is pretty plug and play. So
cool. So
if you post this as a GitHub repo or something, people can go and they can get the Docker file that we make and pull it into their own project, and they should be good to go without having to be Docker experts.
So what we have here is a .env file. I'm going to open up Tmux so I can do splits easier. So what we need right now, so the first step here is we need to generate a secret key base. We need to add it to our .env file. Is that correct?
That's right.
So it's mixphx.gen.secret. And I'm kind of living off of memory here. And so then we get, can you, Andrew, kind of talk a little bit about what this just did? And like what the purpose of this is?
Sure, it created a secret that's going to be used for various other tasks that Phoenix will do. Salts and securities and things like that. It's useful to have a a unique hash the system knows about that other people don't know about, so they can't generate. They can't spoof any security credentials or anything.
Very cool. Okay, and so now we have a secret key specifically for this app. Obviously, you shouldn't generally show the whole world your secrets, but in this case, it's not really going anywhere.
Hey, this is a toy app, so
that's right. We have localhost, right, set for our host. This is all. Now, these environmental variables are necessary just specifically for our DigitalOcean deployment. Is that right? Like between like Docker's going to use these, or DigitalOcean's going to use these?
Yeah, right. Because what's going to happen is we're going to compile a release, and then that's going to get turned into a Docker image, and then that Docker image is going to be deployed on DigitalOcean. So there's this concept of compile time versus runtime, and when we compile the app, some of these variables come from your system, and that's why you can just type, mix phx.server, and on your local host port 4000, you've got the dev app up and running. Mm-hmm. Whereas all of that needs to be overridden when it's running on DigitalOcean, and it needs to be overridden with DigitalOcean's values, not whatever happens to exist at compile time. So what we're doing is we're setting up our local environment to function similarly, to where we are providing local overrides, and those will get read into the configuration with the release, just in a way similar to how it happens in production.
Okay. So we've added a secret key base, we've added a host. Now we need to add a database URL. When we were kind of prepping for this, we decided we were going to use the Ecto resource identifier. I actually don't, I guess this is a URL, but I don't know. I did not even know that Ecto kind of generated these routes for us to use. So this is actually kind of new information to me, and I'm a little bit curious if you have any background on it.
Well, this is just a database connection string, and it specifies the username, password, host, port, and database they're going to be connecting to. All of those details, of course, in the config file. So if somebody's ever generated a Phoenix project before, you go into config and you can see in the dev.exs that there's this Postgres setup, and these are kind of the defaults. If you're running on a default, Mac with the Postgres app and everything else, you've got a Postgres user with Postgres password, and it's running on localhost. 5432 is the default Postgres port, and then the database name, which happens to be the name of the project, with an underscore dev at the end. With dev, there'll be an underscore test when it's running in the test environment, and no suffix when it's in production.
I need to add dev to that then?
Yes.
Okay. So then this is the correct environmental sort of variable configuration here.
That's right.
Okay. Bang. All right. Now there's not really any way to test this yet, because we still need to do the Runtime.exs setup.
That's right.
Okay, so we're going to create a file inside of our config folder called Runtime.exs. We're going to go ahead and modify this Runtime.exs. Now, this is like a whole file, and I think that you've got an example for us on a GitHub repository that I have access to. Can you share with me in the chat the link to that?
Let's see here.
Visitor Center.
Yeah, it's on GitLab. If you
GitLab, right? Okay.
GitLab.
All right, here it is. Okay. GitLab's checking my browser to make sure I'm not a Bitcoin mining bot or something. Sign in.
Oh, that's why everything was going so slow earlier.
That's it. It's my Bitcoin mining rig. You hear that buzz in the background? It sounds like a jet engine. That is okay, so I'm actually just going to download the whole file. I'm going to get out of this. I'm going to remove that file I just made. And then I'm going to copy from my downloads. It's going to be Runtime.exs, and I'm just going to put that right inside the config. And now I'm going to open it up. These are where you need to modify it. And okay, so now here we are. We've got this runtime.exs file that I just copied, and it will be available in the GitHub repository for the sample application if you're watching this video. So feel free to go check that out. Got this great. I don't know if you wrote this yourself, but it's really nice and kind of conveniently laid out so that it's simple to understand. That if you're in prod, do not load the .env file. Then we're setting secret key base, raising an error if you don't have that environmental variable set. Same thing with the database URL, same thing with the host. You're setting a port string to integer. Interesting. DBSSL. Good.
That's right, because it has to be a number, but it'll come in as a string from the environment. What we are doing here is by default setting it to 8080. For app platforms, on app platform, it assumes that your application or service is exposed on 8080. That's also the default port that's exposed on Docker containers. So we're just saying we'll set the app to broadcast on that port. Now, one thing you'll have to make sure you have in this runtime file is this configuration for the endpoint. You have to have the URL configured, so host and port, just hard-coded to 80. This must be an experiment. That's funny. That should be dynamic. I would go ahead and just change it to the port variable that we just assigned.
Got it. And I'm going to
change the names.
Yeah, change the names. Can I please? Oh. No.
And the other line that's real important is that server true down there. That's kind of what makes the port binding and everything work correctly with the endpoint plug in Phoenix. And if that's not there, your app will fail to deploy to DigitalOcean. The health check will fail, and you'll be wondering what the world's going on. And that it just needed server true.
Okay, I think I did that right. So now we changed the app module names. Now we need to change this to
the same thing, snake cased _ snake cased.
Ocean app example. I am by no means a Vim wizard, but I do like to take advantage of some of the features it provides. So, okay. We've reset the names so that we are correctly configured. We have runtime.exs that's, I think, is correctly configured. What do we do next? We are going to ensure the endpoint is configured.
The next step is to add the Dockerfile.
Add the Dockerfile. Great.
Yep.
Which I suppose I can also pull from GitLab. Is that right?
I would also pull from that example repo.
So so for the audience, what we're referring to is actually like an internal application that you worked out this whole process on an application for Palmetto Privacy, and now we're pulling some code out for the benefit of the open source world. You're welcome, everybody. So I just downloaded the Docker file. I'm going to copy that Docker file over. Oh my goodness. To just right here. And now if I open up my Docker file, I've got this great little Docker file. Do we want to, so is this an off-the-shelf Docker file you got from somewhere, or how maybe you
we can walk through because there are some modifications. The Docker file basically specifies how to construct the image, what system it's going to be based on, and every step along the way, what needs to be pulled in, and what needs to be compiled, and needs to be moved. And then the end result is you get a functioning system that should be just just your container, and you ship it off. So this is based on an Elixir an Elixir Docker image that already exists. So it's out on Docker Hub, the Elixir project, and it's an Alpine-based one. Alpine is a real small Linux distribution. We're trying to start with a small base image to begin with. All right. Then we add some packages that we need in order to compile the stuff on this Alpine image. So we got to make sure Node's on there, and because it's based on Elixir's image, it already has Erlang and Elixir in the Linux image that we've downloaded, but we're adding Node in there so we can compile assets. And we're just going through that step. We're setting the environment to production, going through the mix process, fetch the dependencies, compile the dependencies, compile the assets. Now, there's one thing, that line that you're on right there. Number one, you'll need to change the Visitor Center Web to be the name of the project that you're currently working on. Good. And I'll explain the purpose of this. On the app that this file was extracted from, we're using Tailwind and Tailwind UI for our system. And so there are some processes that happen in the Webpack pipeline when you're building the assets. Tailwind has some things that you can run. One of those utilities is this style purge script. Because at the end of the day, you're not utilizing all the megabytes of Tailwind CSS that exists. You're only using a few, whatever utilities that you have referenced. So when you're compiling this, when you're shipping this to production, you want to purge all unused styles. So instead of a huge, 10 megabytes of CSS, you just have, a few kilobytes.
And that's what this line right here is doing?
Well, here's the problem.
Yeah.
That purge script has to analyze the files that reference Tailwind CSS to determine what you're actually using. Now, as we're constructing this Docker image, we are moving files or copying files that exist on your host machine, and we're copying them into this image that's being constructed. If you don't copy your lib web folder, if you don't copy your project's web folder, that purge script is going to be like, well, none of these, there are no files that reference Tailwind. So we're going to purge all of Tailwind, and you will have no CSS when this app deploys. So you don't necessarily need this all the time, but if you're pushing out a Phoenix project that is going to be delivering HTML, CSS, so you're using the asset pipeline in Phoenix, and you're also using Tailwind or something like it that has the ability to dynamically purge styles that aren't used, you need to make sure that before that step runs, and you're using this inside Docker, before that step runs, that purge step has access to the templates and the views and anything that's utilizing CSS.
Okay. I think I'm following. And what I want to do is I kind of want to see how do I test all this to know, did I do it correctly?
Right. So you should be able to do Docker build locally, Docker build, Docker space build space dot, and it should be able to compile everything and build this image.
Space dot. Did I save that? I hope I saved it. I don't know if I did. This is looking good so far. This is pretty promising, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's it's downloading the base images and doing its thing. We have a reference to that project still. The old project.
I think I didn't save it before.
I didn't save it.
Yeah. Nobody. Database URL is missing. Interesting.
Okay, so we've seen that's fine. This is working. Since we're not trying to leverage Docker for local development, I don't know that we want to try and troubleshoot this, but I suspect it's because your .env
this line
is not actually loaded. Yeah, I suspect that those environment variables aren't loaded into your system, and Docker doesn't have access to them.
Right.
So we could potentially export those variables and see if we can get Docker building. But like I said, I don't know that we're trying to troubleshoot this particular thing. Unless you want to dig into it.
Well, let's not right now. I mean, because I feel like there is a.
Yeah, I do. So are you running?
I can do this, can I? I can just do source.env, right? And that should do that, right?
Maybe. Do you have? I was going to say I don't think we put export lines in there, so
we did not. No, we did not. You're right. So it's not going to. Let's.
Are you using the OhmyZish?
I am using OhmyZish
shell stuff. You could enable the .env plugin.
Okay.
And it will source it with even if you've got it declared in the way we did without export.
Are we talking about this plugin?
Yes, I believe so.
Export's optional, so I can do.
Yeah, you just add in your plugins line.
Let's not do all this right now, but basically what you're saying is happening is that because that .env file is not, we have in no way exported those environmental variables into this environment. What Phoenix Env is doing is that when we run the app, they are inserting the .env variables into the environment at that point. Is that correct? Is that at compile time or is that at runtime at Phoenix.env?
Both. So on the Phoenix side, it's happening at runtime. When we're doing the Docker build, it's happening at compile time. And when we ship it to DigitalOcean, it'll get overridden at runtime.
Okay, and if you really care, you could do this.
Let's just see if that works real quick.
Yeah, if somebody's struggling with this for whatever reason, you're gonna want to export your environmental variables.
_dev.
And then if you run, it should error. And
it'll complain about secret key base or something if it worked. Or something else.
Or maybe not.
No, maybe. Okay. So we definitely have an interesting Docker specific issue on your side.
Mm-hmm.
Because on my system, Docker seems to pick up the variables.
I'm not be running Docker even right now. I've got Docker.
You have to have it running, otherwise that
Docker build wouldn't have worked.
Yeah, it would complain that the Docker daemon wasn't accessible.
Docker. I don't know. Yeah. Okay. Well,
this tutorial is not about Docker specifically.
It's not. It's about getting this thing up and running on DigitalOcean. So so first of all, we do have the proper configuration to do the deployment, which is what our objective is, and we also have the correct configuration to actually run this thing locally. It's just when we try to run it locally using Docker that it's not working, right? So we've added the Runtime.exs. We know that the endpoint is configured properly. We've added the Dockerfile. Copy the web folder before compiling assets.
That's that line we talked about.
Okay. Yeah. And then finally, we need to configure DigitalOcean app spec.
Yeah, so what we need to do, push this up onto GitHub or GitLab or whatever repository host, and create an app platform project that will reference the code in this repo.
Okay, commit. Init commit. Okay. I can do a gh repo create, I think. Yep, DigitalOcean app example. Elixir Phoenix app deploying to DigitalOcean app platform. Make it public. Yes. Create the repository. I can push this up. What do you mean, my username? That's kind of weird. That's my password. That's weird. Okay, cool. So, branch masters. Okay, so now if I get push ahead, everything's up to date. If I refresh over here, congratulations to the audience. You now have Dockerfile config, everything you need here to do. So we're on GitHub. Now we need to set up DigitalOcean. Is that right?
That's right.
All right, so now we're in DigitalOcean. This is what the repo looks like. You can see I've already got a couple of applications up here. Nothing crazy. But I need to create a new project, I assume? Or do I just go right to apps?
I think you can just go straight to apps. I guess it just depends on how you want to organize your DigitalOcean.
I want to prototype a basic web app starting at $5 a month, right? Docker.
Yeah, that's what's nice. This is what's nice about just use GitHub.
Cool.
Yep. The app platform makes it really easy to run. It's cheap. You get a managed database, and under the hood, so they don't expose this to you, but under the hood, app platform is running Kubernetes, so you get some nice, deployment and runtime DevOpsy stuff that's just already baked in.
Choose source. I just chose GitHub. Oh, it just had me connect, but I probably have to do it again. Maybe the DigitalOcean guys will watch this and get some UX improvements out of it. So I admit that it's like a hopeful, because actually I'm pretty impressed overall with the DigitalOcean console. It's much more intuitive than AWS, I think.
Yeah.
Wow, I've got a lot of things going on here. Do you like how I have 4?
Oh, there it is. There it is. It was up there.
Yeah. Branch master, auto deploy code changes. Let's go. Fishing for your code. Dockerfile detected. Do I need to configure this at all? Environmental variables. Probably need to configure.
No, because those will get set. Those should get set automatically. We don't need to do any extra ones.
So we're good. Just hit next.
We'll add a database.
Oh, whoops. Whatever. Now I gotta go back. Okay. Make it easy for me. Add a database.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't even see that. Do I need to choose a name or can I just leave it as is? I guess it needs to be DigitalOcean app example prod, right?
No, I think no suffix for. Yep. Wait.
Lowercase alphanumeric characters. Dashes. Interesting.
What? Dashes.
Yeah, that's pretty strange.
That we're expecting for.
All right.
For Acto.
Let's see what happens then. Dockerfile detected. Postgres set up. Next. DigitalOcean app example, region New York. This is all okay, I assume.
Yeah.
Basic. No, I want the cheapest one. Launch basic app. Would have been nice for them to let me do because it's an app and not a static site. All right. Okay. Did that just work? Was that easy? I'll be so happy if this was that easy.
Okay, so now it's building. So now it's doing the Docker build.
Okay. Let's see how.
This was the step that failed locally for environment variables, but should run now. Now, think about it. The one environment variable that we need to supply explicitly is that secret key base, because DigitalOcean doesn't know about that. DigitalOcean will supply the database URL. That's a standard environment variable. But this build was going to fail because in our Runtime.exs, we specified to throw an error to raise if secret key base was missing.
Okay. Well, I suppose I can just head over to...
Just go to settings.
Settings. Settings.
And click on, under components, that first one there, which is the actual app itself. Yeah. And then, wait, this is the database configuration. Where's the, what?
App, maybe? No.
Well, we're going to edit that file in a minute, but there you go. If you view the log, you'll see the secret key base there.
No, it's the database URL.
Oh.
Is there some kind of configuration to get Ecto to provide this for you? User pass. But no, it doesn't matter because I know that we set this environmental variable.
Wait, did it actually add the database? So go over to, go up and over to the settings and click on that database component.
Oh, the database is being provisioned.
Okay. Yeah, so we're waiting for, so yeah, that URL is not going to exist until this is done. So there are some thumb twiddling moments in this process.
Okay, well, while we wait for this database to be provisioned, I wish I could see like a log of it being provisioned of some sort. I wonder if that exists. Runtime logs, no. Deployments, maybe?
And it's weird that it just right off the bat try to run the deployment, even though we're waiting for the database to be provisioned.
Yeah, that's pretty strange. Unable to get deploy logs for the component. Interesting insights, maybe. Yeah, I've never actually played around in the actual apps. I've got a droplet on here.
Well, while we're waiting for this database to come online, we could do the additional steps that we were going to have to take.
Okay.
So we know we need to supply the secret key base. So if we can edit that component, the DigitalOcean example component.
2,000 years later.
Right. All of us clicking around in the interface and everything is, you can actually specify everything via the configuration YAML file that DigitalOcean uses. That's the app spec.
Okay.
So we can go ahead and download the app spec, edit it, and re-upload it.
Where did we see that? We saw that.
It's in settings. Yeah, you go to settings, and at the app level, down at the bottom is the app spec. You just go ahead and download it, and then and we'll edit the file locally.
Should I put it into the project?
Well, I would. Well, that's a good question.
Yeah, why not? It can't hurt.
I would. Yeah, I'm trying to think. Potentially exposes secrets or something if depending on what environment variables you have set. So maybe not best practices to do that, but this is a toy app, so we might as well put it in there.
And the viewers can figure out how to secure that.
The viewers can look at it and be like, oh, okay, this is what I modify and upload to DigitalOcean.
Yeah. Okay, so here we got the app example .yaml. We've got a database engine with the name, size. We've got the name of the app example. So I wonder if naming them the same thing is the problem. Like I wonder if there's like a bug here that if you have two components with the same name.
Oh,
It's
interesting.
going to show you the same component. So, I wonder if I can destroy the database section. That'd be a good idea.
Sure.
Yeah. Has that ever gone wrong?
This is fun. But I also have never named the components the same thing.
Yeah. So yeah, do you see actually what happens now? Now I can look at the component.
Yeah.
And so now if I add a component, if I add a database, let's call it. Should we just call it?
A bug.
I'm just gonna call it DB. I think DB's fine. I mean, create and attach. Why not? Let's see what happens with that. Yeah, we did find a bug. DigitalOcean, feel free to hit us with that $50,000 bug bounty. Happy to accept that cash money for. Yep, that would be great. But okay, so now we got a DB. We definitely did just find a bug because that's exactly what was causing that problem. When you name your components on DigitalOcean the same thing, you're not going to be able to access one or the other because they are definitely using that name to somehow grab this component. Okay, so now we got a database component. Database is apparently being provisioned still. We'll see about that.
That's fine. However, we can actually use the UI to add environment variables now.
Right. Okay, so we can edit these. We have a database URL. Okay, that's interesting.
We should remove the one. So one of them is front with the old one. Yeah. So that top one there. Go ahead and delete that. We've deleted that database. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So let's add
host.
Secret key base.
Okay. Secret.
We could add host. I don't know how important this is, but I have specified a host of 0.0.0.0. And I know this happened during the whole troubleshooting process of getting this thing up and running. So I don't know if that's necessary. So we'll add it if things aren't working. We'll start with just this.
I want to find that. Wow.
And for our viewers, you're going to want to make your secret key base a new one. Generate a new secret for production or whatever your deployment environments are. You don't want to reuse the same secret across the board.
Oh, really?
Again, this is a toy app, so.
Oh, but we're okay doing it here.
Yeah, just because if I don't know, if any one system is compromised, you're not reusing any kind of credential or secret between them.
So this is what we want. This is the config that we want.
That is the config that we want.
You said 0.0.0.0.
Go ahead. And, yeah.
Save that bad boy.
Save it. Okay. So now if we go back to the app, the main app tab, back in settings. There's the app, yeah. So if we look at the app spec, you can see the different configuration, how it's set up. The one thing that I would change, let's see, Sourcer. Yeah, that's right. So we may not need to make any modification here. I'll talk a little bit about health checks. So the app that we've deployed is it's a full HTML app. So when you hit, the root of the project, you're getting an HTML page. So by default, when you deploy onto DigitalOcean into their Kubernetes cluster, it's going to try and hit that URL just to see if your app's up and running. Because this project is rendering HTML, that works. Now, if you were deploying a Phoenix project that's not serving up HTML, it's just a JSON API, that may not be the case.
Right.
So what you would do is you would modify the app spec and you would give it an alternate URL to hit for a health check. And you would write a little plug on the Phoenix side to send back an okay, we're healthy. And we can talk about that later once we get this running. but that's like bonus material. What happened?
Database URL is missing. I don't understand.
Has it been provisioned? It's specified. Still saying it's being. Okay.
I don't. Let's maybe.
I think it may be empty, so it's null right now because there is no database.
But like, how long is this going to take to provision?
I don't think it usually takes very long. This is unusual.
Let's see. How long to provision DigitalOcean database? It might be just like they are slow today for some reason.
Yeah, they might be having a slow day. It's
maybe
end of the week.
Amazon is getting
The computers are tired. They've been working hard.
Yeah. No one else is having this problem apparently.
Well, if they were, it'd probably be all over Twitter. DigitalOcean, why is your managed DB down?
Managed databases. Should we actually just tweet at them and be like, how long does this take? This is actually a great idea. Let's do this.
That's how we solve the world's problems.
Yeah, tweeting at massive corporations with infinite amounts of money to fix their overpriced products. Oops. Give me that Dropbox.
That said, I would say DigitalOcean's products are reasonably priced. That's one of the reasons we like them.
Oh yeah, no, Actually, I like DigitalOcean a lot. I've given them a hard time because this is embarrassing, but in general, I like DigitalOcean a lot, and I prefer them to AWS or any of the other ways that I know. Okay, so at DigitalOcean, this will be fun for the audience.
Oh man.
It might just
tweeting in real time.
Oh yeah. I was thinking. Tell me what you think of this idea, Andrew. What do you think of a show where I just live stream my screen and like image of me, and I just go through Twitter and just comment on like trending with justice, and I just lay into. So DigitalOcean, how long does it normally take to provision a basic starter DB? Okay, cool. Maybe their support team will get back to us. In the meantime, let's see if maybe it is done. No, it's not done. Runtime logs?
I can see how when doing demos, there's great value to having every single step of the way already done. Even if you're doing it live, you can always switch over to the pre-prepared, the already baked cake.
Well, you actually have an already baked cake. Is there any part of this, maybe if you took over the screen share, you'd want to show to the audience? Because I don't have a lot more time. We should probably wrap it up here. So if there is anything that you'd want to show the audience, then maybe you could do kind of on your end. I'm a little bit.
Really, there's not. This is the last thing we're waiting on is for DigitalOcean to finish provisioning its resources so that we can actually run the build and deployment.
Yeah. I wonder if I do this. Actions, create dev database. What happens when I do that? DB2?
You can. I mean, it's just adding another
$7 a month. I'm going to tear it all down. You think they're going to charge me for it?
They might charge you per hour of usage. I don't know.
Okay, so now it's DB2. How's that?
Let's go look at it. Let's see.
Database is being provisioned, of course.
Mm-hmm.
First database is also.
Oh wait, what's that progress bar up there? I was trying to run a build. Oh, you know why? Because once you attach the new database, there's a second database URL environment variable that's being injected. So it's rerunning the build. This is really weird. Normally, database provision for one of these little hobby databases does not take long at all. I mean, it's a small system. You spin it up. So I'd say there's something happening on DigitalOcean side.
Maybe DigitalOcean status. Wonder if anyone else is running into this.
Oh man, the joys of internet.
1 day ago. They were investigating an issue 1 day ago. There's probably only been, 1,000 database deployments in the last day. Deploy to fix resolve availability issues in San Francisco. Service should be functioning normally.
Do we need to build this in San Francisco region instead of the New York region?
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, well, it's 2:30 now, so we've been at this for an hour and a half. I think we got a bunch of good footage out of it. Definitely think that we will have learned some things about how to do a tutorial.
We could, yeah. So I wonder if what we should do is, once DigitalOcean is back online, if we should jump in and record an end cap.
We absolutely can do that. I'm going to San Antonio in an hour or a couple. I'm like leaving for San Antonio here in an hour. Yeah, thanks. But I'll bring my other mic with me, and we can do more shows. So, oh wait, no. Sorry, I thought for a minute we had something from the DB.
Yeah, those are just insights. Yeah, you gotta go to settings.
Connected to GitHub. Yes, still being provisioned. That's fascinating.
Okay,
Should I do a managed database and see what happens? Just how much more money can I throw at DigitalOcean?
Right.
Yeah, we'll give you a database. All right. What do you think? We can do that. I don't mind. I mean, what worse? I mean,
if you want to, again, I don't think they charge you the full.
It's not even really. If they're honest, they will not charge me for this since I'm going to tear it all down here in like minutes anyway. But even if they're not honest, it's a small price to pay to learn that DigitalOcean will treat you like this. So amazing. Okay, so now it's starting again. It's fascinating to me that they try to build the app before they provision the database. You would think that they would provision the database and then trigger the app build, right? Like that's.
Yeah, well, and like I said, usually that provision happens rather quickly. This is humorous.
All right. Well. Yeah.
I'm saying. Note to self. Don't record a live demo that depends on third-party system that might be experiencing difficulties while recording.
Well, this has been fun, and I think that for anyone that needed to get this spot up during peacetime, meaning whenever DigitalOcean is operating at like its top level of performance or normal performance, this would probably be super helpful. And the example app will be super helpful to anyone. I think Andrew, you're really smart, and it's really fun to work with you on stuff like this because you just know a lot and you're imparting a lot of information and knowledge to me. So appreciate that. Is there anything else? So Palmetto Privacy, do you want to quickly plug Palmetto Privacy? Robust communications networks, privacy-centered tech, new router coming out this year. I know I've asked you what to plug, and now I'm plugging, but please, do you want to kind of give a plug for Palmetto Privacy? Keep going. Well, I love it. I could talk about it all day. You go ahead. You're one of the founders of Palmetto Privacy. Talk about it.
Sure. Yeah. The venture that we're trying to get off the ground here is a company which very explicitly in its formation and operation is built around providing systems and services respect your privacy and enable you to use the internet in a private way. This day and age, everybody's making a data play. They're trying to grow their user bases quickly, whether they intend to or not. They're utilizing systems that are based on data collection feeding into these ad networks and everything. So consequently, just your everyday usage on the internet is leaking your personal data everywhere. And we're trying to at least provide a solution around that and make some user-friendly tools that empower you to take back your internet usage.
Yeah.
And we're starting with like the lowest layer of your internet connection, the router, and adding some utilities to your router connection that will head off, some of that data leakage that happens, right from the get-go. But we've got more planned, big roadmaps, other things coming down the pipe. So
very cool. I want to thank you for sponsoring this show and making it possible.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're going to continue doing lots of tutorials, and we'll be even better prepared. So this is definitely our first run at this. So forgive us for learning on the fly, but that's cool because that's how technology's done. You're basically like garage level at this point in the startup phase. So for people to get more information or to learn more about Palmetto Privacy, they should email you probably, unless palmettoprivacy.com is. Oh, by the time this comes out, palmettoprivacy.com will be a source of information. But if they want to reach out to us, they can reach you at andrew@palmettoprivacy.com. They can reach me at justice@palmettoprivacy.com. If they want to learn more and get on the list for beta testing the router later this year.
Yes, send us an email, and our landing page should be up, which would allow someone to tell us what their email is that they want to receive announcements as we progress with the router and other projects.
Very cool. This has been an episode of the Justice Even Show. Thank you to Andrew Elster from Palmetto Privacy for joining us. Please reach out with any feedback, comments, questions, concerns. You can forward those to the dev null folder in your. Yeah, that's a joke, but seriously, I don't want to hear it. No, really, hit us up, justice@palmettoprivacy.com, andrew@palmettoprivacy.com, and keep on the lookout. Hit that subscribe button if you enjoy the content. Hit that like button if you enjoy the content. Hit the bell if you want to get notifications when new videos are coming out. And until next time, this is the Justice Even Show.